Hey, John Collins here, the paper airplane guy, world record holder for paper airplane distance. I want to show you a really cool plane today called a Tumbling Wing. This plane is made from phone book paper, the one that you're seeing here. But don't let that throw you. You can ask your grandparents what a phone book is. It's an ancient technology used for storing people's phone numbers. Thin paper is the headline for our purposes. And so what you really need these days that's easy to get your hands on is tracing paper. 9-pound onion skin paper, commonly called tracing paper. It's about half the thickness of regular paper, and it's really good for making a tumbling wing. And if you don't have that, if you don't have tracing paper, I'm going to show you how to make it from just 20-pound paper as well. That's the stuff that's in most copiers and printers that are hanging around. It's probably at your school or your library or you know, your dad's printer around the house or your printer around the house, whatever. Let's take a look at how to make that dimension that you just saw, assuming you got tracing paper. What you want to do is a 2-inch wide strip of paper. This is 8.5 by 11. This is 24-pound paper. You would not want to use that for a tumbling wing. That would be wrong. So you can do a 2-inch wide strip, and I'm just laying out 2 inches here. You know, my 2-inch mark is about there. It's going to fold up right about there. That's 2 inches. Now you could use a paper cutter to do this. Smart people might use a paper cutter to do this. I like the idea of ripping it so that I don't need any tools except just what I've got right here. So I'm going to make a crease that way. I'm going to reverse it, make it that way. Now the trick with creasing, if you didn't know this, the trick with creasing is every time you fold a piece of paper and make a crease, what you're really doing is breaking all the little fibers in the paper. A lot of the fibers, not all of them, but you're breaking a lot of fibers. So if I do this back and forth enough times, I'll destroy enough fibers that it actually becomes easy to rip in a straight line. There we go. I'm just ripping a 2-inch wide strip. There's my tumbling wing strip, and I'm going to put the rest of the paper over there. So let's assume this is tracing paper and not 24-pound paper. The folding would be exactly the same. I'm going to fold it in half the long way. And just make that crease right there. I've got the open edge at the top, the creased edge at the bottom. I'm going to fold both of these guys together, about 2 millimeters down. I'm just going to make a crease that goes all the way across the top of it here, holding both of those edges at the same time. And when I open it up, it's kind of magic. One edge will be pointed up and one edge will be pointed down. And so I've just done 2 creases. That's all I've done. 2 layers together there, a single layer there. Now, when you look at the end, you can see this edge is pointed down, this edge is pointed up, and that is what's going to make it tumble. So it'll tumble right now. But in order to make it tumble in a straight line, I need to do a little bit of adjusting on the edges here. I'm going to take 1 inch here and just fold it. Now I'm using a thumb width, which is about 1 inch. We could measure it to just make sure that it is 1 inch. So I've got to, oh, look at that. My thumb is 1 inch wide. That's the official royal measurement. One thumb width is 1 inch. I have a royal thumb. I didn't know that. I was just going to try to see how much off I was. Okay, let's do... so that end was I originally folded up, but if I rotate it like that, now I can fold this end up, which is easier to do than try to fold it down. My 1-inch thumb will be the measurement there. All right, so the other kind of double check is, does this look square? Half of it would be like a kind of a square there. If it's 2 inches wide, then 1 inch, these little guys would be square. So that's kind of your double check there to see that you got that the right size. The folding is done. That's it. We're done. 1, 2, 3, 4 folding moves, and we're completely finished here. So to fly it, what you want to do is make sure the top of it is pointed the direction it's going to travel. This thing is going to spin backwards and go forward. So it looks like that. So it's tumbling, and the trick here is that you want to match the speed that it's moving down with an updraft going up. So you're going to walk forward with this cardboard and you're going to scoop air upward. And so, you know, the face of the cardboard is going to be that direction that the air is going to travel. So if we look at this guy, this is kind of an exaggerated view. You wouldn't want your cardboard to be leaned back that far, but the smoke is hitting this piece of cardboard getting deflected upward. That's really what you want. You want the air to get deflected upward. And like I say, that's leaned back too far. That's way too far because I'm giving up some of my vertical speed there. So if I'm back like this, the air is going back like that. I don't want that. I want the air to almost be straight up. So it's just going to be leaned back just a tiny bit. And so when you look at how this guy is flying, you can see the top of the cardboard not leaned back very much. I'm just dropping this guy. It's starting to spin, and then I'm positioning that cardboard right behind it. Now, you could start walking and hold that guy out in front. That works. It's a little bit awkward. You have to do too many things at the same time, in my opinion. But it works. You can hold it out in front, about just a little bit above the card. That's the other trick. You can see that the plane is positioned above the cardboard just a little bit. And so it's riding in an updraft. It's up on top of the card. That's good positioning. Gives you lots of room to recover. You can turn it by pushing more air under one end than the other. There are all kinds of little tricks here. But let's get back to launching. So to launch it properly, this front edge is going to point the direction of travel. And I'm going to hold it up as high as I can hold it and stretch my arm out so that the plane is kind of at a 45-degree angle when I drop it. So it's not flat like that. It's just kind of like that. And so when I drop it, it'll start to tumble and take off. I don't have to really give it too much spin. It'll start tumbling on its own when I drop it. So this is a big key. Kind of angle it a little bit like that. Hold it up really, really high and drop it. So if I'm here, I'm going to hold it way, way up like that. And when I hold it up that high, it's going to be at an angle about like that. So it'll drop and start spinning. And that's what you want. You want it to start tumbling on its own. You don't want to have to spin it or do anything crazy. If you just hold it correctly and drop it, it'll start spinning. Now, it should go in a straight line, but they don't always. And so there's a little, every once in a while, it just, if you got the crease just a little bit off, or, these guys aren't straight up and down, it's a paper airplane. So stuff happens. So let's say your plane is turning to the right, or I'm sorry, it's turning to the left. That means the right-hand side of the plane is moving faster than the left-hand side. So we can slow it down just by adding a little more droop on this side. I just add a little more bend on this one side, and now this side is going to be moving as slow as this side. So let me straighten that out for just a second. Now, if it's turning right, just the opposite is true. The left-hand side of the plane is moving faster than the right-hand side. So I would slow down the left side by adding a little more droop there. And now the plane will fly straight. So, I've been calling this a plane, but it's really not a plane. The center of gravity is here. There's really no center of lift. You can think of this thing like a plant seed, like a maple seed that would fall from a tree, a dandelion seed. It's really just falling so slowly and so predictably that, I can get under it with this cardboard that's generating an updraft and keep it aloft. So I'm countering what's called the sink rate. Literally the rate the plane is sinking. I'm counteracting that with an updraft I'm making from the cardboard. And I'm able to walk forward very slowly with the cardboard because this plane moves forward very slowly. So this is what you've just seen here is the construction technique for tracing paper. Now, if you don't have tracing paper, there's two things you can do. You could use regular 20-pound copier paper, and we could do, rather than a 2-inch wide strip, we could do a strip that's about 1/3 of the whole sheet. So I've got the long side up here, and we want 1/3 of the short side. So if the layered part is the same size as the unlayered part, that means I've got 1/3. So I'm going to just make a crease there, and I'm going to crease it a couple of times. So this is the construction for just 20-pound copier paper, and it'll fall slow enough you can kind of get the hang of it. I really do recommend getting your hands on tracing paper eventually, but if you're stuck with 20-pound copier paper, you could do this. You could take 1/3 of a sheet. You can see I'm just taking 1/3 of that. There's 2/3, there's 3/3, that's 1/3. And I'm folding that in half the long way. I'm not really changing much in terms of the construction here. Still folding the strip in half. And I'm going to fold about a little more. I'm going to maybe 1/4 inch over. Just I can make the edges of it a little bit bigger to help it spin. And then open that up. And of course, I'm going to do, again, about 1 inch here on this end, 1 inch here on this end. And I'm going to have something that tumbles slow enough you could do it. This will work. This is big. And, you might need a bigger piece of cardboard. I'm using like 11 by 17, but you can see you can get this to work. Now the other option, if you're stuck and you don't have copier paper, you don't have tracing paper, you might have a tissue paper like you might wrap a gift with. And so this is one that I have that I can fly. Let's see here. I'll show you. This is really kind of a cute one here. So here's the one, the regular size one that I'm flying with cardboard. And if I go show you that one again, watch this. This is a tissue paper one that's small enough and light enough I can just use my hands to generate an updraft. How fun is that? So what size is this little guy that can ride in front of your hands? Well, it turns out it's not all that crazy. It's not all that small. It's about 5.5 inches this way, and it's about 1.5 inches this way. And so 5.5 by 1.5, and you're doing the same thing. You're folding it in half, folding one long edge one direction, one long edge the other direction. And the launching technique is the same thing. Make sure the front is pointed the direction you're going to travel. Just grab it and let it go, and it starts tumbling. And then you can fly it around the room with an updraft with just your hands. That really looks magic. So you've got 3 different options here. If you're just stuck with just 20-pound paper, use 1/3 of the sheet. If you can get your hands on a phone book, that's awesome. That's really lightweight, good paper. If you can get your hands on tracing paper, 9-pound onion skin, commonly known as tracing paper, you could use that. Or tissue paper, easy to do. So 2 inches wide with the really thin paper, 1/3 of the sheet with the really heaviest paper you'd want. 20 pounds is about as heavy as you can make it work. Or tissue paper, 1.5 by 5.5. You'll have a blast. Now, here's the thing. These kind of wings that you fly with a cardboard have been around quite a while. The first one I ran into was invented by a guy named Tyler McCready. It was made from foam. There's a whole website that shows you how to do walk-along wings. They call them walk-along wings. Tyler McCready called it that. I'm calling mine follow foils. Here's another follow foil. Now this kind of plane, like I said, the ones that fly and hover over that cardboard as you walk along, these kind of been around since the 50s. This is a paper version of it that I invented. This is my design. But tissue paper ones, tissue paper and balsa, that is, foam wings like Tyler invented, those have been around since the 50s. I was the first guy to really do a tumbling version of it, a tumbling wing. So that was my kind of contribution to the idea, is that I would just get rid of the glide ratio, get rid of the flight part, and just counteract sink rate. And so that's what I added to the field. So anyway, tumbling wings, fun to make, fun to learn how to fly. And if you're going to get into the follow foil idea or the walk along wing idea, this is a terrific place to start, because you don't have to worry about the rest of the aerodynamics. Just get it to fall in a straight line and get in there behind it and figure out how to make it fly best. Tumbling wings, if you guys haven't seen my book, haven't been to the website, check out thepaperAirplaneGuide.com. You can get the book. It's got the tumbling wing, follow foils of all kinds in there. Great stuff. All the planes for my paper airplane show are in there. So I'll see you guys next time, and good luck with your tumbling wings. They're a blast. You should definitely try it. Definitely check it out.